Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Big crowd we have here tonight. You guys just came to see us, didn't you? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, we are fun to be with, there's no doubt about that. So, first item on the agenda, moving right into it, is the approval of the agenda. So, I don't have any changes unless anybody else does.
I had a question. We had the bill for Hodges and Louisi separately,
Yeah.
but it looked like it might have been included in the total bills. Is that?
No, that's.
It just dawned on me tonight. I'm sorry, Carol, I didn't get a chance to.
It does look like that, but we re-footed everything and it is not in the total of the larger batch.
Okay, thanks so much
That's
for
just
the
verified.
clarification.
You're welcome.
So I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Biondi, second by Munda. Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
And Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carries.
Thank you. So, the next item on the agenda is recognitions. I'm sure that's why everybody's here, so.
So thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Keeley, principal of our Allman campus, would you please come forward? Tonight we have a very special recognition. Annually, we get to honor a number of our seniors for their recognition in the National Merit Competition. And Mr. Keeley here will award those students.
If I could have all the students that we recognize, can you stand up front so we can see it? You can stand right over here. Yeah, come back there. Okay, tonight I'm honored, as I am annually, to recognize our National Merit Scholars. Just to kind of describe what that is for you, the National Merit Scholarship Program is an academic competition which began in 1955 for recognition and scholarships. High school students enter the National Merit Program by taking preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. These scholarships are considered to be an important and prestigious award. Even students who qualify and don't win can earn honor and recognition and are able to use that to their benefit when it comes to applying for college. National Merit Scholars are heavily recruited by universities, and some are given preferential treatment in admissions, housing, and course selection. Many selective universities seek to increase the number of National Merit Scholars. They may also receive attractive merit scholarships, obviously. So tonight we have actually quite a few more students that are being recognized, but obviously as these kids are our best and brightest, they are involved in a lot of different things. So some of them were not able to come tonight. I am still going to read off all the names. Okay? So the first category, approximately 420 independent organizations and institutions sponsor more than 2/3 of the National Merit Scholarships offered each year. All special scholarships are sponsored by business organizations that also support merit scholarship awards. ADP Inc. is a corporate scholarship sponsor. This year, Warren is fortunate to have one student receive this honor, Alexandra Berkowitz. The second area, students who scored in the top 2% of the nation are recognized as commended students in the National Merit Program. These students do not continue in the scholarship competition, but are recognized because of their outstanding academic performance. Warren recognizes 16 outstanding students this year. Arjun Arun, Alexander Barty, Madison Duncan, Samantha Gunter, Andrew Jacobs, Arnusa Jalustrum, Kinsey Jasnak, Eric Jung, Siddhartha Kumar, Thomas Macheris, Brett McCullum, Natalie McNally, Nathaniel Metz, who also got a perfect 36 on the ACT, Andrew Miller, Julian Ruiz, and Kenneth Zimmers. These are our recommended students of the National Merit.
Staying in the Big Ten, down the road. Yes, that's kind of what I heard.
And last, approximately 1.4 million students took the test last October. And the National Merit Semifinals achieved this recognition by scoring in the top 1% in the nation. Warren is proud to recognize 5 students who achieved this honor. Olivia Chen, David Kang, Peter Kirchner, Ryan Clems, and Machira Ray. Congratulations.
Too many numbers.
Congratulations. Yes.
You guys all get down one more time in front of the screen. We'll try to get one or two more good shots of you guys.
Take your time, everybody.
Yes, like, okay.
No, you don't want to get it.
Stand in front of your phone. And we'll superimpose it on your face.
There we go. Scoot in there, kid, that's the, come on.
Somebody go around on the
You know I'm standing up something.
There you go.
Much better.
Okay, look over here. You better.
It's the round button.
Just to summarize again, these are students that we're extremely proud of, that excel in the classroom. Most of them excel in the classroom and other activities, whether that be extracurriculars and athletics or activities. They truly represent Warren, and we're very proud of them. And also for working hard to get Warren recognized on a national stage, for them being willing to be in this competition. And I am confident that they are going to do excellent things in their post-secondary institutions. That's going to help future Warren students, because as Warren students do well at a certain university, it sets a reputation for other Warren students and makes it easier for them to get into those universities. So I really look forward to their success next year and beyond that. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Just a quick, Greg, Pat, just real quick, future plans for you. You're going to finish second semester strong. What are your future plans hold for you next year?
For me, I'm going to CLC for a year or so, and then I'm going to be transferring to a four-year school, hopefully then going to ed school and beyond that.
Oh, my God.
Very good, very good. Wish you the best.
I intend on studying biomedical engineering, hopefully to a master's degree, maybe a doctorate, depending on where my future leads me.
Okay. Next.
I'll be doing computer engineering at either Purdue or U of M.
I'm going to be doing mechanical engineering at Purdue, Illinois, or Michigan.
I've been pursuing chemical engineering up to a doctorate degree and hopefully becoming a part of academia.
I've been studying political science. I'm not sure which school that will be at yet.
I was accepted into Loyola and I'm going for biology, and I would like to work in museum curation.
Very nice.
Well, congratulations, all of you.
the board about later, but it probably involves all, or certainly most of these guys, is we've played around a little bit with our end of the year recognitions that we've been trying to make sure we pay our senior class, especially those that have done so well academically here, make sure that we spend enough time recognizing them. So on May the 15th, Monday, May the 15th, we're going to have our first cum laude ceremony for all of our students that are graduating with honors, and where we can present them with their cords that they'll wear at graduation. So obviously that was something I was going to share later, but because we had an example of our fine students up here tonight, I thought we'd make that announcement now as it's really appropriate. So that we got a number of students that'll be at
202 will be invited.
yeah, 202 students, but they'll be in the auditorium, and we're really excited about taking the time to really recognize their excellent work here at Warren. So congratulations.
Thank you. So we're going to move on the agenda. I know it's going to be really interesting, but you guys got stuff to do. Please feel free.
You're welcome to stay, though. We're not kicking you out. No, I'm paying.
I'm broken hearted.
Yeah, that's right. Big number. Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll move into the agenda. The next item is the reception of visitors. So I don't think anybody has signed in, but is there anybody who would like to address the board for their 3 minutes of fame? Okay. If not, then we'll keep moving. Next item is the President's report, and we have the IASB Spring Dinner coming up. And it's going to be...
In North Chicago.
North Chicago, March 8th. There's, yeah.
I would like to go.
Okay. We're having a presentation on the art of school boarding, so I think that could be a positive from Jim Burchett. And it starts at, pre-meeting briefing starts at 4:45, so if anybody's interested in that.
Isn't there something for candidates on there too?
Yep.
It starts at 4:45.
4:45.
That starts for the candidates.
I think that's what our
Right. So that's at 4:45, then 5:30 there's a tour, and then registration and a business meeting. So it should be very interesting. So anybody that wants to go? North Chicago.
So I'll be attending as well, so just let you know, and that'll be great.
Got it, Jean? Thank you.
Okay. Committee reports, we have the insurance committee.
Now, we have an insurance committee meeting on the 15th of this month. We're going to review those minutes. And just looking ahead, we're going to try to do some work and get some preliminary numbers on our insurance rates for next year, as well as talk a little bit about the process in determining those rates for our committee. So we're learning a lot, and we're excited about that meeting on the 15th. There's also a parent advisory committee on discipline. Some notes from that meeting. We had a good discussion following up our diversity topics from the fall. And one of the pieces that came out of that discussion was that in our student handbook, in our code of conduct, we didn't have any explicit language in terms of misconduct regarding hate crime type of misbehavior. So it was a good discussion that we had about some specific language that might be appropriate. We had a handful of parents there to help us process that. We had some draft language that we also shared with legal counsel. Just to run through it quickly, they had one or two little suggestions, and so there is some additional language regarding hate crimes that'll be in our code of conduct that the board will see in a few months for next year.
I attended that, sorry, John. I attended that committee meeting. I just wanted to say thank you to Nate Harris. I know he's not here tonight, but he did a nice job putting that together. I'm sure he worked with the rest of the deans and administration on putting that together. And then to the parents that came to that meeting, it was was a good meeting. We had some really good dialogue, had some conversation about where we were going and the importance of this, and you know, that situation, I think, brought to light, you know, maybe sometimes with the oversight that we assume things are going okay, but I thought, you know, out of a bad situation, I think came something good. And I think it's important that, you know, we add this to our handbook and we have a firm statement and a firm grasp on that type of behavior is just not going to be tolerated here at Warren. And we're going to set an example to the rest of the community and I think to our surrounding neighbors that hate crimes are just not something that we're going to tolerate. And putting that message out to our students, I think will enable them to be better decision makers and really embrace the diverse culture that we truly cherish here at Warren.
Thanks, Mike. Good words. Superintendent's report?
We have a number of things. Do you guys want to start, you guys can or Rico? You guys have something you want to start with? I'll talk about a few other things here if I can. So they're going to talk a little bit about Devil Hack. I think I just wanted to reiterate, we got some good news in addition to the individuals that were up here. We just got word from the state of Illinois that we have 155 Illinois state scholars, so that's a great number for us. We every year have a number of students that will get that recognition. We had our open house last week at this campus, and we'll have our open house on Thursday night at our Eau Plaine campus. So that's just an informational piece. And we, on January 21st, we had at FBLA, we had the Northern Area FBLA Conference. Our FBLA charter does a great job of structuring that conference of competition and workshop and collaboration. And there were over 700 students at that conference. Obviously, we had about 80 there. We're the strongest representation, not only in number, but also just in the quality of you know, the kids that we have that are in our FBLA really do us proud, and they do a lot for our school. So just want to say thanks and congratulations to a number of them who are obviously moving on in the competition to the next round. And so I bought a little time there for Kim and Rico to update us on a very successful Devil Hack that was had on the 28th and 29th.
Yes, so several weeks ago we came to you and presented just conceptually about this hackathon that we were going to have. And it was several months of planning. Rico and I worked on it with a committee of some community members from some local businesses, some local officials, and partnering up with Major League Hacking, and it proved to be probably the best part about it. We really didn't know going into it how it was going to go. Even the day before, we were excited but nervous because we had not been to one. We had not done this before, and we were just, you know, you come up with the best plan and you hope for the best, and if you have to make adjustments along the way, you do. And I know that I speak for myself and probably Rico too. There was never a moment during this event that I wanted to go home, that I wanted it to end, that I wasn't already thinking about doing it again. And I mean, I took a nap around 6 a.m. for about 30 minutes.
A nap is a proper terminology.
A nap on an air mattress in the middle of the gym, I just pulled a blanket over my head and just dozed, and never, even when it was over, when it was time to go, it wasn't, I can't wait to get out of here. We were already talking about, we really cannot wait to do this again. We had so much fun, the kids had so much fun. It was an amazing experience, unlike anything I've ever been a part of here, and just incredibly cool. So the concept we had already talked about, how, you know, we worked with Ellen Dean from the Village, who was wonderful, and Mayor Kvark's support was huge, and Adam Kahn and his team, Chris Fox and Carl Sherwoff from ACON, and Christina Leckie and Andrea, and it says Alexandra, but it's Sasha from the Chicago Council on Science and Technology, and Dr. Chen from the College of Lake County, just weekly planning sessions to make this event actually happen, and there's a few of us in that picture at the bottom.
Right, what's not pictured there is there was a great participation from the Educational Technology Department here. Jean Farrar is in the audience. She won't admit to it, but she was there for 24 hours.
All night, Jean.
All night, Jean. She provided us the 1 hour nap between 6 and breakfast. And then obviously Howie Yund on the network side took care of a lot of the stuff. A lot of my technicians helped out. We had Mustafa Ahmed, who's a volunteer here for us and doing a little bit of a theater tech work, and he was also there for a good part of the night. The only part he left was when he had to work 6 hours at Menards, and then he came back.
And we joked all night.
So-
When kids would come and ask technical questions, I said, you gotta talk to Mustafa, he's running the show. Because he handled all of the technical software side and everything that we partnered up with MLH that they gave the kids for different collaborative tools. He took all of that and ran with it. It was outstanding.
Picture up top, that's the group of the whole all the kids.
How many total?
We had 95 total. Overnight, we had, I think it was 56. There was a group from Morton High School. There were 3 teams that they came with, about 20 kids. They had just missed their board deadline to get it approved as a field trip. So they're hoping if we do it again next year that they have the date in advance and can stay.
To give their teacher credits, they drove an hour and 15 minutes that night, and then the next morning
And
to
came
get them
back.
here on time. And one of the teams actually placed, so I guess it was worth the trip.
Yep.
So,
So we had, in participants, these are some of the pictures of some of the teams, not, I don't know if it's quite all of them, but quite a few of them. We had just a little bit more than 50% of the students were from Warren, but we had students from a bunch of different schools. Obviously, as you can see from the pictures, male and female fairly equally represented, which was amazing. We had full teams of girls, we had mixed teams, we had teams that were Warren kids and not Warren kids that met during a team building activity that we did at the beginning, and they just partnered up and joined on.
right, a Grand High School, a student from Bolingbrook made the hour-long trip. His dad dropped him off. Another young lady from Lyons Township,
Her
whose
dad drove her up, yeah.
reason for attending was to just meet new people. So, I mean, it worked out really well. The kids were great together. I mean, when you say 0 problems, there were 0 problems.
It was great, and the kids, I can't say enough wonderful things. It was, like I said, it was about, a little bit more male than female, but it was pretty evenly balanced. We had, I mean, the diversity at the event was almost like, it was a perfect representation of Warren and the community. It was outstanding. Grade level, which was really exciting to see. We did have 9 freshmen and 18 sophomores, and while the highest numbers were seniors, we hope that a lot of the kids that are juniors want to come back next year. We did do a survey, and the results of those, the kids that they do intend to want to do it again, and their comments are things like, we hope that you're doing it again. They really liked it.
National average for female attendance at hackathons is 10%. We had close to 40. So we had a good representation of male and female. The other thing too is Kim discovered in some of her research that there's only 7 high schools that did a major league hacking event this season. This year is the first year they had it. And one in the country.
North America.
North America. And one in the state of Illinois, which would be ours. So.
A couple of those I think were in Canada, but in North America we're the only one. So that was really exciting. Going on the next one. So some of the pictures from the event, we had Major League Hacking brought some hardware that the kids were able to use. We started out with an opening session. We did a little team building activity. They had all kinds of hardware they could use. That's Ellen Dean up there from the village. Testing out one of the virtual reality headsets. It's actually my oldest son that was showing her how that all worked. I put it on once and it just made me almost sick. We had a speaker who came and she was speaking on how devices and apps are used in the medical profession. So a bunch of the students did a project on that, and that was very beneficial to them. We had Sergeant Mann came from the Green Police Department at 11 p.m. and gave a presentation on how technology is used in the police department. One of the pieces of feedback we got from the kids is they would like to see more of these. And we weren't really sure what kinds of topics to bring in, but we're hoping next year to bring in more 15 to 30-minute industry professionals on just any topic that the kids can go and just learn real-world applications, ask questions, and just learn whether it helps them in their project or not. If it's something that gives them some career ideas or some other ideas, just the kids love talking. Sergeant Mann gave a great presentation, and they asked amazing questions about all the technology that's used in law enforcement. It was very informative.
One thing to miss is that picture in the corner, a gentleman with the hat on. We let him wear a hat in school because it was a Major League Hacking hat. But he's provided by Major League Hacking, and he also comes with a creative technology that we get delivered. We got delivered on Friday. We couldn't open it until he got here. He inventoried it and made it available to kids. Everything from laptops to Adreno boards to virtual reality headsets to Fitbits to Android tablets. It was all provided.
Which, according to my son, is like the thing for gaming.
So they brought a lot of the extra technology besides their kids bringing.
And the kids love that. There was lots of team activities, obviously there were games that they could play, we did a team building event with spaghetti, and we made a marshmallow tower. It was the girls from New Trier that won that one. Their marshmallow tower, by the way, they took it home, it was still standing. The rest of them, we just kind of brushed them off into the garbage.
The kids down in the corner had a little pajama dance party, probably around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
And a couple other kids said, well, nobody told us that there was gonna be a onesie party, and so I said, well, next year.
I don't think we have the picture, but there was a musical chairs game at 3:30
3:30 in the morning, the kids organized it themselves. Rico and I were sitting there and we said, what are they doing? And I said, I think they're setting up for musical chairs. And they just did in the middle of the gym, they just played musical chairs. Some of the project ideas, there was the Go Eco, which won first place, which was an app that could work with your electrical system at home, it's home automation. A Fitbit 911 caller that was actually, a group of our swim team kids actually came up with it, that would sense your heart rate off your Fitbit, and if it spiked and then dropped, it would call 911, and they demonstrated how it actually called a phone and texted a phone. It was really neat. A restaurant app was third place. There was an organic waste composter idea, student web apps for schools, a student tracker app, medical instructions, a folic acid to go for developing nations. That wasn't a technology per se, but it was more science related. Fitness motion correction app that would assist blind in walking down the hallways. They had a belt that they used, or though that was a sound belt for the visually impaired. And then the fitness motion corrector was, the concept was that if you were lifting weights, it would actually correct you in your form if you were doing something.
In the picture with the winning team from Stevenson are the judges. Obviously, you might recognize the lady in the middle as the mayor. But there's also a few industry scientists and industry experts from wireless communications, Motorola, mobility, I forget what the other wireless company was, but Adam Kahn provided a doctor of research from Acon Semiconductors, and the lady on the far end is from the
Illinois Council on Science and Technology, CS2,
right? Yeah. And the kids definitely had a lot of questions for them afterwards. What did you like? What did you not like? You know, thank you so much for your time. So the kids were very respectful of that.
And again, we can list out all the people who helped along the way, or even just stopped by just to visit. It meant a lot to us, and meant a lot to the kids. It was, like I said, the coolest event that I've ever been a part of, and one the project ideas that the kids came up with completely on their own. And the assignment that we gave them, we were having a hard time coming up with an assignment. So the assignment that we gave them was to come up with their own problem statement. And they did. They came up with an amazing problem statement and then different solutions to it. And we were blown away by how just brilliant and creative and innovative that these kids were, and the ideas that they came up with, and working together and bouncing ideas off each other. It was a competition, but it was collaborative. The kids were talking to each other and sharing their ideas and helping each other come up with ideas.
Mr. Walls and Mr. Drake made their way around, so if you got any questions, they probably have all the answers for all the projects. Dan and the Quest Food Service was phenomenal. They put together 3 great meals. The kids were raving about the meals. We couldn't have done it without them. So that's a list of just a small people. Obviously, thank you all for trusting, or at least believing that we could pull the idea off. Especially Carol, thank you for kind of pushing, saying it's going to be fine, because
and it was, I mean, it's scary because we were going to have kids spending the night at the high school. There was a little bit of apprehension and nervousness about it, and they were amazing.
A real positive 4 in the morning text message from Carol saying, "You guys got this, finish strong," was very helpful.
Helped us
very helpful. I don't know what she was doing up.
This is our first place team from Stevenson, and these are some just actual quotes of things that they said about the event, that they were interviewed after they won, and that it was just an amazing experience for them too. They came into it not really knowing what it was going to be like, and ended up being a lot of fun, and they learned a lot. And one can mention that another kid from another group called their dad, who helped them with the project, and kids were helping kids, which was really neat to see. And while someone was going to ultimately win, they were trying to help each other.
It was ultimately a competition, but it wasn't a competition. It really wasn't. It's, you know, I kind of kiddingly said it was the Woodstock for technology. Everybody was just helping everybody.
Probably my favorite comment was a post on the Facebook page from a parent, or I think it was a parent, community member, who basically said, "This is amazing, and it's so nice to see kids competing in a venue other than athletics." And it was really nice because it was competitive, but it was, and somebody would win at the end, but it was, like I said, the kids were sharing ideas with each other. No one was ever trying to hide anything and be all secretive like they were trying to win. They really, everybody was helping each other. It was great. And we did do a survey at the end, sent that out, and we've gotten some responses. So what's up here are some of the quotes coming from some of the kids. I love that there was really too much good food and I couldn't finish it all. But probably the best quote is this one here. My favorite part was the great feeling at the end. We did it, we survived the night, didn't pull out our own hair, and we managed to unite as a group. I was also feeling very thankful of everything, the school, the supervisors, the Green Police Department, the security guards, the sponsors, the people, and most of all the ideas that hopefully will change the world. And that comes from one of our students. I couldn't have said it better myself, because that's how I felt at the end of it. It was amazing. We asked the kids to describe in one word the event, and fun, awesome, incredible, inspiring, collaborative were the words that came up the most. Thank you so much for your support. This was amazing, and the kids have already said, are we going to have Devil Head 1.02 or 1.1 or 2.0 or something next year?
It was one of the very few events that I left, and the next day, being very tired, I said, can't wait till next year. I got so many ideas, I'm gonna start jotting down these notes. It was a great experience for everyone.
So
Thank you to everybody.
Yeah. Great job.
My job.
We had just a couple other announcements, and then we have one departmental report today. I do want to update the board. We still, on March 1st at Oak Plain and March 8th at Almond, the Max Shevitz Foundation is coming to do the EKG screenings, so that we're excited about that, and we're excited that they're giving the opportunity to work with our kids in our community, make sure kids are okay. We had a great diversity meeting on the 31st of January. We had probably 25 of us or so of us were all together at Almond. This was a result of our reach out to parents at the time from our November incidents and our need to discuss diversity and inclusion with our parents. We've agreed, we've committed to each other that there's still work to be done collectively and collaboratively. We've got a few tasks amongst us that we're all going to try to brainstorm on, and some involving students, some involving staff, some involving the community in general. And so we're meeting on February the 22nd at 6:30 in the Almond Library again. We're not meeting the 21st because there is a Black History Month celebration in District 56, and we wanted people to have the opportunity to go to that. But we also, that meeting, obviously, we hope we'll get a few more faces at the meeting on February the 22nd here. So that work continues to be very valuable for us, and we've learned a ton already after just a couple hours together on some things that we could probably be doing a little bit different. I wanted to share with the board just a couple things on the Centennial. First off of our list, the comedy show was on February the 10th. We have CC basketball this Saturday, the 11th, turnabout the 11th, and I'm passing out to the board members right now. This is your invitation. On Friday, I sent an email out to all of our staff, about our gala on Saturday night, April the 29th, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And so that was actually one of our last lists of our list of 100 events, and it certainly is one of our most special. So what we're handing out to you is your invitation. You'll also get one electronically. We did want to make some hard copies for some of our people who might have graduated from Warren back in the way early days, so we might not get an email to them. But also we do have some paper copies of that invitation. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is this is an invitation event. This is not necessarily an open event, because we've got 600 seats or so in our auditorium. And so part of the program at Oak Plain will be over in the auditorium. We are looking to fill the auditorium, and we've got music planned for the night. We've got some hors d'oeuvres planned for the night. And we've got obviously a lot of nostalgia and memorabilia to show off and remember a little bit of the history, as well as current board members, past board members, people who have played an important role in the history of Warren Township High School. We want to make sure we have the opportunity to come together. That's Saturday night, April 29th. Look for the email as well tomorrow. You can respond that way. In our initial email to those people that we're sending out, which our group is, we're excited about it. We're also inviting people. The cost for the event is free, but as we're sending out those initial flurry of invitations, we did have a book written to commemorate our 100 years. We're excited about that. The WTHS Foundation has sponsored that. The creation of having an author write a nice story about our 100 years. Obviously, a lot of it is pictures and celebrate some of the fun times through pictures of the book. So that's also there in the opportunity to buy it. That's all we're asking of people, is if they're interested in the book, it's a great opportunity to buy that, and those will be picked up at the gala for that piece. There's also going to be later in the month, the opportunity for individuals just in general to buy the book and ship to their home, so we did want to give you the heads up of that. But for the people that are invited to the gala, obviously it'll be at the gala itself. So we did want to share that with you. Obviously, we're very excited about that. Make sense?
We had a question.
Yeah.
Could I ask?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Arch. I'm here from CLC. I'm a teacher candidate. And I just wanted to come to the school board meeting and see what you guys talk about and kind of experience. And I just wanted to know if you could elaborate on the 100 Years event.
Sure, we've been since last summer. This is our 100 years, so we've been celebrating over the course of this calendar year all of our different student activities, different events throughout the year. We've had 100 of them. Right now, we're probably on number. In fact, there's a calendar right by Mr. Meyer. Mr. Meyer, you see one of those? Is that a calendar there?
Yes.
So that's the list of our centennial events. And we're on number, Mr. Keeley, where are we at out there? Where are we, February something, or 60, are we in 60?
I got Thursday night's number 63 for the open house.
There you go, 63. So we're right at number 63, and we're excited about having gone through all those and show off our school minimum present, but where we've been. So that's what our centennial is about. Thanks for your interest. Thanks for being here tonight.
John, you covered it pretty fast, I'm sorry, but this is open to the public or no?
This is an invite-only event.
Okay, thank you, that's what I needed then.
And we're also trying to work right now, we have some planning meetings with our art department. That is the end, that's the culmination, if you will, of the Live Arts Fest that week. And so we're trying to tie that in a little bit, so we can meet with our art department to see how we might be able to tie that in as well.
Technology?
Nico, you ready?
I should be giving back the clicker.
I got it.
I let Kim talk last time because I got about 20 minutes. Okay. I'll be pretty brief. This is our annual technology.
You really have
report.
to talk fast if you're going to cover 20 minutes in 4 minutes.
Not a problem. This is not going to work here too well. So every year we kind of give you the state of the technology department. Last year it resulted in an audit which we completed. There was 3 takeaways from that audit. I'm going to review those real quick and show you where we stand with those. The first one is the implementation of a cloud-based service desk application. I could read the whole thing for you, but I mean basically it's a help desk cloud solution. The logo down there is Zendesk. That's what was recommended. That's what was selected and set up over last summer. Over summer 2016, we completed that. That's the application name. The help desk, in my mind, our minds, have completely changed the process and made many of our technicians much more efficient. Also, it ensures that every problem issue gets attention. So, you know, there's a follow-up. What's really nice about the help desk system is you could fill out a ticket by simply emailing an email. It creates a ticket. Then when we go back and forth with like, okay, we'll come and take a look at it. If you respond to that email, it updates that ticket. So you never really have to log into the ticket system to continue to follow your trouble tickets. There's an interface on the webpage. You can create a ticket right there, or you can do it via email. And if it's an old ticket and you're like, wait, that's still a problem, 3 weeks later, you could reopen that ticket and say, hey, I thought it was solved, but we need to look at it again. So it's a great way for our technicians to keep track of conversations and problems, and then we can start packaging the problems together so we can frequently, create frequently asked questions and solutions, etc. There's some statistics from the new ticket system. And this is the first 6 months of school. As you can see in August, 207. It was a big start of the year. That wasn't even a full month, and we threw down 207. But again, you can see along the line, we've always had about 30 tickets out there. Some are more long-term tickets. Some are problems, we may not solve for breaks or whatever like that. But so pretty much every ticket that was being asked or presented during that month was getting fixed or getting addressed or whatever. The other thing too is, the agent touches. If you look at this, for those 800 tickets, we had 2,500 interactions from the technicians, which means people were getting information, people were getting responses, people were getting thank you. we know that the tickets were being addressed. Granted, we would love to have a one-step, one touch. We fix it, it's done. But, we all know that sometimes that's not the case. So the technicians were definitely following through with it. The second item was upgrade our firewall to a best practice product, which provides higher level security along with the ability to filter malicious content. So at the beginning of the summer of 2016, there's a typo. Our firewall was replaced with the best practice firewall from Palo Alto Networks. Again, that was another recommendation. Palo Alto were equivalent. We went with Palo Alto. We took advantage of some E-rate money that was available to us to buy the device. Palo Alto is an industry standard device for mid to large corporations. So when we look at our enterprise network and realize that any given day we could have 5,000 people on the network, it's important we protect it. So the EdTech team and our managed services partner, Queen Technology Group, or we'll refer to it here as MTG, spent a number of hours setting up the rules for these new firewalls, new firewall, new content service. So over the summer, we basically took a product that we had set up with all these rules and all these exceptions for the last 8 years, and we flipped the switch one day. So it was a little bit bumpy at first, but we really didn't miss a day of any connections or anything like that. And we were so tight on trying to follow up what we're seeing. We did a post-install audit, which was completed around November. MTG felt, as did we, there were some holes in the setup, and we really needed an extended period of time to be able to work on that setup. So we chose, winter break. So after, the holiday, we went to work on those 2 weeks before the kids came back, and they basically they tore down all the connections down and reinstated everything back in to clean up some of the firewall setup. And some of the remnants of the old firewall that came over. Again, we really didn't lose much connection over break. There might have been 15, 20 minutes here or there, but for the most part, so the firewall's in place. If I brought Howie, the network administrator, in here, he could show you the 37-page security document he gets monthly about the threats and the preventions and everything like that, but take my word for it, it's protecting the perimeter. This I added in because I remembered a few meetings ago there were some questions about privacy and compliance. I can provide those websites, but Microsoft, Google, and AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, the 3 that we use, all are compliant, at the educational level and, again, the corporate, financial. AWS, Amazon Web Services, does all your big companies. So our data, our files are safe there and along the way, and the two other ones I'm talking about right here. And then the last thing, the third thing was migration of on-premise applications to a cloud environment. These represent probably about a quarter of our servers by name. Size-wise, it's a little bit smaller. It's 4.1 terabytes, okay, which is pretty big, but those are all servers that have probably existed. Some of the class servers are only 4 or 5 years old, but like Old-Plane and All-In Staff servers are probably going on 9 or 10 years old. So there's 9 or 10 years worth of just data, from baby pictures to, class files from 2005, 2006. There's a lot of stuff in there. So we moved that all out from on-premise to the cloud. And what is that? You say, the move is obviously to maximize the financial resources. I can give you a quick example. Servers that we needed to spec out for approximately that size and a little bit extra space, we would have had to pay probably close to $25,000 per server, and that's 2. Usable space is just slightly more than that, and those 2 servers, hardware alone, will probably retail, we get them for about $50,000, $60,000. We pay AWS or Amazon Web Services about $500 a month currently to store that there. So, if you do the math, and again, that's strictly the hardware. That's not including the support, that's not including the warranties, that's not including the software updates, it's not including the energy to plug it in and power it. This is 24/7, 365, updates, everything is included. Amazon takes care of that all. And then obviously, it provides stability for services around the clock and reduces energy costs. Email statistics. In the last 6 months, 180 days, we processed 4.1 million emails. So that's about 8 million emails a year, right? That's up 36% from the last 6 months compared. 486,000 emails were sent from individual mailboxes and automated systems like Huddle, Canvas, Naviance, and PowerSchool. So a lot of those are automated emails, update emails, there's new files available, but still, it's still an email that comes through the system. You know, and then during most school days, there's anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 users actively using email at any given time. And that number drops, but not much, to like about 400 or 500 over the weekend. So kids are using it, you know, we need, you know, and that, the email was also moved to the cloud, thus eliminating a whole bunch of Exchange servers, which, you know, we house the email on premise, all of it. Currently what we do is we just house the backups on campus. So really what happens is an email hits our Exchange server, it archives, and then it goes out to the cloud, and that's how we keep the backup copies of that. Some Google statistics. Now Google is another thing, that's what we use for our data storage. That's something we entered into when we went with the one-to-one program. Currently we have 3.5 million files stored in our Google domain, WTHS.net, and that totals 12 terabytes of storage. So it's 3 times the size of all those servers I showed you a couple slides ago. This is really important because the cost of storage with Google is nothing. So we pay nothing. We pay for licenses for the Chromebooks, $25 for the product's lifetime, but this is all free. So so that again, that's 12 terabytes of storage we'd have to figure out what to do with if it wasn't, if it wasn't there. Quick Google Math facts about the stored files. 10% of them are Google Docs, which is the equivalent to Word. 4% are photos. 2% are slides, and 1% are Google Sheets. Now, I'm sure Chuck Maurer back there, the mathematician, is saying that only adds up to about 20%. So that means 80% of the rest of the files are not Google files at all. So they could be pictures. I'm guessing a good portion of them are Microsoft type-based files, but Google doesn't care. It's all storage set aside free to our organization. So I'm just saying, the kids are using what we're giving them, I think, is what I'm really trying to say with that point. And then obviously, it doesn't cost us a penny. Okay, I'm going to kind of shift gears from like the enterprise side of it to a real quick conversation because we talked last year about Tech Academy Plus because they play an integral role in our department. This slide was taken from Kelly Wilkerson, who presented this year, I'm going to get it right, at the Illinois Business Education Association State Conference on our Tech Academy Plus program. So that's her front slide. I thought it was good. It's not as scary as you think. Tech Academy and Chromebooks. Total number of Chromebooks that were fixed this semester by students, 435. Total number of Chromebooks fixed the second semester, 74. That's only an old plain number. Almond, I didn't get a final number because we had a little bit of change in employees there and the numbers are off a little bit, but it's pretty close to, Almond is probably pretty close to that too. There used to be a time where Old Plain students sent their work over to Almond because they weren't ready to do it. That time is long past. The kids are, a couple weeks, they get certified, boom, they're fixing devices right away. And then obviously, there was about 100 of them that we just couldn't deal with, we couldn't fix, so we sent them out and they're professionally fixed. So, kids are getting experience on that, all right? The other thing they're getting certifications, or credentials, as we like to call them. The reason why I just put this slide, and Kelly included in her presentation, but however, 72% of educational institutes believe that, the recent graduates are ready for work, but the employers say only 42%. So this is from Certiport, who does all the licensing, they're saying that, 2.16 million students enter the workplace, and if, employers think half of them aren't ready, we gotta help out, they gotta help out. And then the other thing too is, again, another one for the values of certification. That one basically says 81% of the jobs are either gonna be middle skilled to high skilled jobs in the next 10 years. So, a lot of certifications and credentials, they think could fill that 50%, almost 50% gap. That's the certifications that were earned last year by the kids in the Tech Academy Plus program. This one's a pretty big one, the Microsoft Technology Associates, I believe it's called. That's typically a difficult test to pass first time around. All 3 of our kids passed it the first time around. Microsoft Masters. The beauty of the certification program and the Tech Academy program is when the students complete it, if they have a LinkedIn, which most of them do, as soon as they complete that test with Certiport, they put in their credentials, they get a badge on their LinkedIn, which automatically tells employers, colleges, whatever, this kid has a certain skill level. We have had students who've got summer job offers and internships based on the fact that they had Excel or they had Word or PowerPoint. So basically, in wrapping it up, 504 certifications. This was last year, 700 total devices repaired. So she felt it was 100% total success. So the only thing that the only thing that Tech Academy Plus is lacking, or sometimes we wish there was more, is that it's the students who would take the class. The numbers gently decline, I think, for next year, but we really want to try to get those back up because we think it's important. It's something that kids, kids are interested in, and it definitely helps the 4 core areas we're talking about. Obviously, language arts, English can make the argument that word processing is a skill that students need. Math, science, obviously with the Excel spreadsheets and some of those other formulas, etc. Social studies, again, the word processing. So there's a crossover, we believe, and the teachers are working real hard, and the teachers are dedicated. The business department, they're getting ready to shift their curriculum from Microsoft 2013 to 16. So they're ready, and if you don't have any questions, I will gladly step aside once you guys finish.
Very nice people.
Thank you.
Really, really good.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
On the compliance,
Mhm.
because the conference that I attended at III, the annual school board conference, they stated that those major companies are not compliant with FERPA unless you do a separate agreement with them and they have to agree to comply with FERPA. So I would like to see the contracts that we have with Microsoft and Google, I forget the third company, because at that conference, they said that it has to
Just
be a
check 'em out.
separate
Yeah,
legal
that's
agreement.
fine.
We'll check them out.
That's not a problem.
Want to make sure we're with FERPA.
Thank you.
No, okay.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate that we brought McQueen on board.
Well, they've been great assistants.
Right.
It gives us a 24/7, 365 exposure to help us.
And I thank the board for doing that contract, I think it was 2 years ago, but they've done a fabulous job for us. Thank you, Rico.
Thank you, no problem.
Done?
Thank you, sir.
Okay? Then we're going to move on to new business. Ms. Rogers?
Back in November of 2016, we did a advanced refunding of some debt to save the taxpayers about a little over $350,000. Direct savings to the taxpayers on our bonded interest payments. At the time, the way the law works, we did a resolution in the bond documents to levy taxes, but because it was November and we didn't have the December CPI, bond council's asking us to do a supplemental resolution which incorporates the new CPI of 2.1%. So I have included for your documentation the original bond sale results and that resolution, so you have the backup documentation. But again, it is to take advantage of utilizing the 2.1 CPI that just came out in January.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I move to approve the resolution authorizing a supplemental property tax levy to pay the principal and interest on outstanding limited bonds of the district.
Second.
Conway and Brenda. Roll call.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carries.
Okay. Next item is the memorandum of understanding with DLA Architects for floor replacement at Almond Endo Planning.
We have a long-term planning committee that has the principals, associate principals, athletic director, myself, Dr. Algrum, our facility managers. where we do essentially a monthly review of our projects, facility upgrades that we need to be done, and prioritize that list, adjust the list, keeping with the $750,000 capital budget that we think is important to fund every year in order to not get any further behind than we are with projects. So the group decided that flooring replacement was their top priority, something we could get done in July. We decided as a group that it would be advantageous for us to use the architects to help us with carpet selection, the bid process, and specifications, monitoring. So you have in front of you a memo of understanding from DLA Architects. The fee that they would charge is 7% of construction cost, which has been typical with our historical experience with architects. And to get this project done, we would like to ask the board to approve that memo of understanding, and when the bid comes through for the carpeting, then you would be asked, or flooring, I'm going to assume it's carpeting. When the bid comes through for the flooring, we would ask you to approve that bid. And that would be in the next couple of months, so we would have enough lead time to order material and get it installed in July. I have brought a couple samples of some new types of flooring. Oh. The blue one over there is what's called the walk-off carpeting, and you'll feel it. It feels almost like a plastic. So pardon me, very durable. And that's typically used in entranceways, but they're now using it in hallways. The other kind of carpeting is really not what you'd call a traditional carpeting, is another product that they're recommending in schools. Because it's so thin, it's much more stain resistant, water repellent. As we work with the architects, we also look at different forms of carpeting. VCT is the tile that you see in the cafeteria. VCT is very high maintenance. You're waxing it continually. The advantage of carpeting is that it's lower maintenance, higher cost up front, but lower maintenance going forward. There's other products called MCT, which we've used at the new renovation down by the gym at Oak Plain. Variation of VCT, lower maintenance cost, higher initial cost. So again, we'll go to the architect and really hone down the project, or the products that's best for Warren. We really need their advice to get us the right product that's going to be a long-term solution for us that meets our needs. So that's what we're looking for, is that approval from the Board of Education.
Dr. Hogan, I just want to say thank you for getting back to me on my carpeting question. Finding the right selection for flooring, I think is important. I think some of the carpeting over the years is really, over at Oak Plain was really bad. I think some of the options that are available out there today, I think are going to prove to be good for the long run.
Yeah, we've also got in conjunction with, obviously, some of this is for the hallways and things of that nature, but we've tried to put together a pretty effective plan for some of the classrooms at both buildings. In terms of those are things we generally can do with our own staff and perfect squares, and as those things happen, there's a plan for that as well. But, as you walk through, especially here, if you walk up and down the hallways here, you start to see, obviously, the wear that not only becomes, aesthetically, it's not appealing, but it's also dangerous for all that foot traffic that goes through the building, so.
And just an update, DLA is finishing our health life safety report and our facility assessment, so we should be seeing that in the next couple of months, I believe.
Good, yeah, I think, getting their expertise could certainly help us ferret through some of the new options that are out there. I think that's important. Okay, no more questions? Need a motion?
DLA Architects for flooring replacement at Old Plain and Almond at the cost of 7% of construction cost.
Second.
Munda and Walls. Roll call.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carries.
Second reading and approval of district board policies. Went through these the other day, last meeting. There is a lot of them. Most of them are updates, as you'll recall. Does anybody have any questions on anything specific?
I just feel, there's 50 of them here, and I feel with 3.5 months till the end of the school year, and then the election coming up in April, you're gonna have, by law, a new board. I think it's a little premature to do this, We don't codify our policies, we don't go through them and, change the effective date, we don't give notification to the parents, except just saying in our policies that we'll change it and update it on the website. I don't see any reason why we should be doing this tonight. I think that we should delay doing this at least till after the election.
Okay, thank you for your input. I don't happen to agree with that, but I appreciate it.
I don't agree with that either.
But that's okay. We can still have a motion and everybody can vote their conscience on this. So,
I'll move to approve the second reading and approval of the district board policies as presented.
Second.
Munda and Conway. Roll call.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Biondi?
No.
Ms. Campbell?
No.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
And Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 4 yes and 2 no, motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, this is a board policy 2:125E3, school board exhibit resolution to regular expense reimbursements.
I have a question. Is
Me
this-
too.
Oh.
Go ahead, you go first.
Is this a new board policy or just, yes, Mike? Oh, oh, okay. Is this a new board policy? Then, if this is a new board policy, is this gonna be like the first reading and then we vote the next meeting on it?
And this one looks like it was proposed by press in October 2016. I also feel this one should be put off until at least May. It's brand new. I don't understand the purpose of it.
Okay, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be approved today, does it?
Yes,
This
this one
is-
is time sensitive.
Okay, tell us why.
Why?
For what? Okay, there was a new law that went into effect. The major portions of it go into effect March 1st.
That's close.
What this does is put an accountability and a limit on board member expenses and a process for reimbursing board members. The other portion of the policy deals with employees and their reimbursement. So what this resolution does, which is a portion of the policy, is to set a limit on what the maximum level of reimbursement, which after surveying the districts, the mid-ground was $2,000. So we would, in order to comply, be ready for the deadline of March 1st, we would ask this resolution be approved.
One board member did ask a question about, is that a reimbursement, is that an annual reimbursement amount total or event? In digging into it a little bit, it was actually by event. It's not much, I mean, for when we, generally speaking, it's also about the same amount. We've probably, and I don't think we've surpassed that at least by much. in terms of an annual amount, but it was in the spirit of it by then, so.
Well, I think we need to get in compliance by March 1st. We can certainly put it on the agenda to review again.
Yeah,
No,
Well, it looks like we're already not in compliance, because according to the policy, it says Public Act 99-604 was effective 1/1/17, so we're already not in compliance.
There's actually two components of this. And the resolution portion is effective March 1st. The employee portion was effective January 1st. But,
We're halfway there.
yeah.
Okay,
Can I just ask another question?
of course.
I'm sorry, but
Okay.
number 3 in the whereas, section 10, it's right at the second whereas, but at the bottom it says, and it's talking about number 3, a standardized form for submission of travel, meal, and lodging expenses supported with minimum documentation. That has me a little bit concerned. Minimum documentation, what does that mean? Does it mean that we can just say we traveled there by car and you take our word for how much the mileage was? Or I'm just trying to
Well, I think
play devil's advocate here.
I can go through our process in processing bills. We require a Google Doc,
I know you do.
or Google Maps to verify mileage. Internally, you are required, if you're going on a dinner, for example, to write on the receipt who attended that, what the purpose of the, meeting was. So there's specific guidelines on what you have to have. We do not use a per diem reimbursement system. We require actual receipts to do that. So,
I just want to express, I understand what you have in place,
yes.
but according to this, minimum documentation has me concerned, that's all. I'm just trying to express.
Actually, the board policy describes what documentation is required.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
This is just the exhibit?
this is just the exhibit specifying the maximum reimbursement that,
Okay.
so.
I just pulled up the Public Act, so we could postpone this at least till the next February meeting, because under section 15, it says on or after 60 days after the effective date of this act.
No, so.
So it means March 1st or after.
Well,
So it says on or after 60 days after the effective date of the act.
Could we put it on the first meeting in March, because I already know I'm not going to be here for the second meeting in February.
Can I make a motion then?
Certainly.
I would like to move to adopt board policy 2:125E3 school board, the exhibit resolution to regular expense reimbursements as presented.
I'll second
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Pass.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
it. Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
I'm reading the act.
She can go on the record as a pass if she wants to.
I just wanted to make sure that what's in the act that's not in our policy, there's some things in the act that aren't in our policy, but we can amend it, so yes.
Thank you. She said yes.
Okay. And Mr. Anderson?
Yes,
Just to be clear, we have 6 yes.
correct.
Motion passes.
You are clear.
Thank you.
Next item is the bills. So we have I move to approve the bills for February 7th of 17 in the amount of $500,476.45.
Second. Oh,
Yeah, that's what I meant. $508,476.45.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
And Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carries.
Next item is another bill, is the legal bill for Hodges and Louisi. So I move to approve the payment of the legal bill for February 7th, 2017 in the amount of $7,002.89.
Second. Walls can have it.
Give it to Jim. Roll call.
I would like to, I would like to explain something. Mr. Munda is always asking me why I vote against Hodges and Louisi's bill.
Not always, but frequently.
Frequently, thank you. In today's Daily Herald, page 3, there's an article about Lake Zurich's high school hazing lawyer tab, nearly $51,000 for the month of November.
This is Warren. This is not-
I'm sorry, but what I'm
So
trying, if you have looked,
They're legal bills, I don't know how that pertains to us.
Mike,
If you want to explain about
Mike,
what,
I'd like to finish.
if you're gonna finish, the point that we're raising here is why you're not voting on our bills, not what's happening in Lake Zurich. So if there's an explanation of why you don't want to vote on our bills, I'd be glad to listen to that. I don't want to listen about Lake Zurich and what their legal ramifications are and what's going on or what's in the newspaper.
Well,
I
let
want-
me
if-
explain to you then.
All I want to hear is why,
The
and I'll ask
reason-
again, and maybe I should ask all the time, why you don't vote for our bills and explain that. Don't tell me about what happens at Lake Zurich, because that's none of my business. I want to hear about our bills and why you don't vote on our attorneys being paid, when a lot of times the requests come from members of this board that then don't want to pay for the recommendations or letters that are required that cost us more money. So if that's the explanation you want to give, I'll be happy to listen to that, but I don't want to listen about Lake Zurich.
Okay. Thank you,
In the
Mike.
newspaper.
What you're trying to say is, may I paraphrase from it?
Okay, sure. I
What
think
Lindsay
that-
would like to say is, she thinks that what they charge is exorbitant, and she's using the $51,000 as an example, that's exorbitant, so she's concerned that they might be overcharging us.
Close. I just,
I got that.
here's an example. In the paper, they show a partial bill, which we do not release to the public, but like Zurich did. And in it, it says, confer with Attorney DeCola. DeCola is an attorney on Hodges and Louisi's staff, thank you. And it was 0.7 hours at $2.95. Then multiple conferences with Attorney Louisi.
Okay, we got that, now we got your point.
Attorneys.
We got your
So,
point.
I
I need to
think,
read them all.
okay, no, I was just trying to
I
give you an
understand.
example.
I got
And
it.
it seems to me if we're going to have conferences, that we could get them all together and do it, and it'd be a heck of a lot cheaper. That's my problem. And they have been alleged to have double billed other school districts. Whether they're double billing us, I don't know. I'm not in a position to say.
Carol, did anybody come in and review the bills?
No.
No, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion.
Motion by Anderson, second by Walls.
Roll call,
Ready?
sorry.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
No, and I'll explain why. When I was on the Woodland School Board, they were caught billing for work they did not do.
Mrs. Biondi?
No.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
And Mr. Anderson?
I'm gonna say yes, because they have not been caught billing for work they didn't do at Warren.
I have 4 yes and 2 no. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the hiring recommendations for Exhibit A. I move to approve Exhibit A hiring recommendations 148 through 153 as posted.
Second.
Roll call.
Motion by Anderson, second by Munda. Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carries.
Approval of the regular meeting minutes for January, and executive session minutes for January 17, 2017.
I'll move to approve the regular meeting minutes and executive session minutes of January 17th, 2017.
Second.
I would just like to make a comment. I'm okay going ahead to vote on it, but on the open session, there was an omission of the comment I made on the bills, that the first 30 pages were already prepaid. So I just wanted to make the statement for a transparency position that public's thinking that we're approving them and then the bills are going out, but 30 pages of the bills had already gone out. So that was number one. Number two, when we talked about the discussion on the land, I don't see in here that I said I would also like us to sell the 100 acres of vacant land on Stern School Road, purchased for no educational purpose. And they're not in the meeting minutes, either one of those.
Okay.
I would just like to add the comment that we have included explanations in your board packet on last month's bills and this month's bills, why they were paid early. They fit within the board policy of either being a utility, a credit card bill, or other approved fixed, monthly expenditure like a contract. So the accounts payable coordinator, Dawn Fergan, has wrote an explanation of every one of those, or voids of checks that have already been approved. So just, Mrs. Biondi had asked for that at the last board meeting, and we have provided that.
Can you provide that on the website, Carol, please? Because the public doesn't understand.
They don't
Sure.
understand that.
That was, I understand.
Yes.
But I would like that on the on your website, the financial portion, so that the public understands why these bills are being paid prior to our voting on it.
Okay. One thing I do want to say is we are in the process of looking at a new website. So if we can post that, we will.
On the new website.
Or on the old one.
Oh,
Right now,
okay.
it's really not kind of being maintained. I'm
Maintained.
probably going to say this wrong. We're not trying to spend our efforts
Updating what's going to be out.
updating some of the financial information and other information on the old website so we can get a focus on the new website. But I'll ask the question to make sure we can get it on there.
How soon is the new website expected?
That I can't, I
Do you
don't
know? Does anyone know?
I do.
Oh.
Target date of June 1st.
June 1st, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Sounds great. Okay. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion by Munda and a second by Conway.
Roll call.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell?
No.
Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 5 yes and 1 no. Motion carries.
Alrighty. Thank you, everybody. That is the last item on the agenda this evening. I move we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion by Anderson, second by Munda. Mrs. Biondi?
Yes.
Ms. Campbell? Yes. Mrs. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Thanks.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
I have 6 yes. Motion carries.